after I have shampooed and conditioned and I'm out of the shower, we've just washed out all that goodness and all that hydration, guys. So you use your favorite leave-in conditioner. Okay, so you may have reached your goal length and goal strength. How do you maintain it? That's what this video is really going to be about. How I maintain my hair long, strong, healthy, and golden blonde, which is super important for those who color your hair. You know, we need to take extra precautions. So this is really about how I maintain it. Now, if you are not in the maintenance phase and you are in the reparative phase, this video still applies to you because several things actually don't change, in my personal opinion. They don't change from repair to maintenance. You can ease up on a few things in maintenance phase. And of course, all content is my own theories based on my own personal experiences, plus from my experiences interviewing tons of experts over the years. So let's get to it. Number one, it's hydration. How do I keep my hair from drying out? Now, this differentiates a little bit for those of us who color our hair, because those of us who go lighter, we need extra protection, especially from mid-lengths to ends. But this, once again, applies to everybody. Hydration is key, and you basically need to hydrate 3 parts of your hair because you need to take care of 3 parts of your hair. And what are those? Your roots, your mids, and your ends. Let's start with the roots. Well, on a daily, I give myself scalp massages with good old sebum. I never, ever use hair oils on my scalp. I've talked about that before. I simply don't believe in adding oil onto my scalp, massaging it in, and then rinsing it out. When nature's given me beautiful oil, it's called my own sebum. And that's why it's really important to create more blood flow and circulation using your fingertips. I just like giving myself nightly massages, and that really gets all of that beautiful oil everywhere. But of course, the oil is not going to go from roots to mids to ends. So the way I keep my mids hydrated is after I have shampooed and conditioned and I'm out of the shower, we've just washed out all that goodness and all that hydration, guys. So you use your favorite leave-in conditioner, preferably a product that has superb ingredients. Now, how do I keep my ends hydrated? I oil them, everybody. This is where I like to put the direct oil. What type of oils do I use? Well, there are so many oils on the market. I know this can be confusing, but I think nature's best for me is the grapeseed oil. I use that all over my face, my body, and my hair. It's very lightweight and it feels almost like a dry oil. Also for the ends of my hair, I do love the Brilliant Joico Blonde Luff oil. I do like the Olaplex 7. I have tried Moroccan oil. So there are a good variety of oils out there. For those who color our hair, we need to be extra careful, especially if you're going lighter, not to use like those amber colored oils, because those are proven, those are scientifically proven to perhaps stain lighter hair. So I like to stick with the lighter oils. The ones I mentioned are fabulous and light and just either clear or light colored. When and how do I oil? I oil nightly. I oil the ends nightly. When the hair is freshly washed, like out of the shower, and I've done the leave-in conditioner, I start blow drying, and then I will oil the ends and continue the blow drying process. And then nightly, I will always oil. Hydration, hydration, hydration. That's super important because you may see growth at the roots, but if the ends are not hydrated, they will start to split and break off. So this is a tip that is used both in reparative phases and then also maintenance phases. You just always need to keep your hair hydrated. Remember the 3 parts, okay? Your roots, your mids, and your ends. Hydration is key. Number 2, shampooing and conditioning while you're in the maintenance phase. Well, this really doesn't change for me, maintenance or repair phase. I always advocate keeping your scalp very clean. I know that it was a trend, I think at one point I was seeing on socials, people were showing how to preserve your hair from washing it a few times a week, and you're adding all of these things into your hair like dry shampoos and powders. Yikes. I personally don't believe in any of that stuff. I always think of this as a garden. You want to keep it clean and nourished. And how do you keep your scalp clean and nourished? You keep it clean. You make sure there's nothing in there so we can have a beautiful, lush ground for new, luscious, healthy hair to grow in. That's it. Really simple. Condition wise, again, you want to use products that have good ingredients, may or may not be from a pharmacy or a drugstore. A good shampoo to cleanse your scalp. I double cleanse now, just like in the reparative phase, and I condition every time I wash. Would I ever forgo the conditioner if I was doing a deep mask? Very, very rarely. And just to add to this point, where does a bond repair mask fit in this scenario? This is a good time to speak about the differences between reparative and maintenance. When you're in the reparative phase, you need to do the bond masks, either the Olaplex 3 or something like a K18. You need to do that more often than when you're in the maintenance. I went from doing it twice a month to now every 2 months, and that works really well. Also, since we're talking about being blonde and bond repairs when you're coloring your hair, you can keep coloring your hair, guys, if you're in the reparative and maintenance phase, but there is a difference. I'm going to talk about the coloring in number 4, okay? But I just want to go into the heat styling before I go into the coloring. Is there a difference? This is key. So there is a slight difference for when you're in the reparative phase versus the maintenance. So for reparative, I would say stay away from heat as much as you can. I would do a blast blow dry in colder temperatures, but summertime, if your hair especially has the hair type where it dries really quickly, I would just air dry. I know there's a lot of information about air drying versus blow drying. I don't think there's anything wrong with blow drying, but what I'm saying is you may not be blow drying correctly, and this is what I mean. When your hair is wet, okay, water and heat will give you humidity. I remember learning this in grade 9 science. That's why I never forgot it. Just like when you're somewhere really tropical and warm and you're wondering why your hair is expanding so much, it's just because of the wetness and because of the heat, and that causes humidity. Okay, so we want to avoid that. You want to avoid anything detrimental to the hair, so that's why a blast blow dry could sometimes be better than an air drying, but the blast blow dry should be on a cool temperature until your hair is no longer really soaking wet. Okay, so that's another important tip for heat styling. But I would stick to, honestly, heatless rods and waves while I'm in the reparative phase. No hot tools, like I mentioned, except for the blast blow dries. And then when you're in the maintenance, now this may be a bit controversial, but I really like to stay away from heat styling as well. I do my blast blow dries, and then I like to use my heat styling tools. But I understand for work, some of us need to look super polished. However, you can still get a polished look from the heat rods. Now, if you want to use the heatless rods rather, if you want to use a heat styling tool once in a while, my recommendation and pro tip here is to leave several days in between. This is when you would really try to stretch out that blow dry and stretch it out by keeping it smooth with oils instead of re-drying your hair. The Blowout Professor, very popular channel here on YouTube, and I agree with most of what he says. He calls reheat styling dry hair, he calls it cooking your hair. And I love that analogy because you really are. You really need to be cognizant of the fact that you are reheat styling your hair. So I would not do that more than a couple times a week. Okay, blondes everywhere, the moment we've all been waiting for. Number 4, how can I maintain blonde hair if I want to grow it out nice, long, and healthy? And yes, it is healthy from root to tip. My stylist is an educator and a very well-established hair practitioner that gets paid to travel all over Canada and the US, showing people how to do their hair. So I have him examine my hair all the time, and anything that's not healthy, that stuff gets chopped off. I'd rather have shorter hair that's healthy from root to tip. It does not make sense. It's like nonsensical to maintain longer hair that's unhealthy hair, especially when it starts to split and break off. So how do we maintain it while maintaining its health? Well, I do have a lot of tips here. If you're in the reparative phase, absolutely no bleach. If you're in the maintenance phase, you need to have a bond builder in that bleach, like a bond protector. If you can avoid the bleach altogether, that would be my best recommendation, and I'd go to a high lift color. And if you can avoid a high lift color, then I would just go to a color. And this is how the 3 work. Bleach strips your hair. Imagine you have black hair, level 1, you want to go to a level 10, and some product lines go to a 12. It's just stripping all the way until it gets there. That's why you got to work really fast with bleach. Keep your eyes on that hairstylist, okay? We've seen a lot of horror stories on YouTube from stylists not paying attention and something bad happening to the client's hair. Number 2, a high lift color will strip, but it stops working at a certain point and then it deposits color, okay? Strip and then deposit. And it stops working at about 40 minutes or so. And then the color is just depositing. I've never bleached my roots. I've had highlights in my life very few times and always with a bond protector. And then as far as the high lift color, I used that for years and years until I met my current stylist, and now we just use color. This depends, everybody, on the color range. Right now he uses a brand called Effionage on me, and I believe that it's from the UK or Australia. I'm not sure, but you can look up Effionage. I used to use the Schwarzkopf. The Schwarzkopf is great because it has a bond builder inside, and the Schwarzkopf, I would go to a level 10, and then the Effionage, I would also go to a level 10. So those were similar, but the difference with the Effionage is it's not high lift at 10. Their high lift starts higher. When I used a Joico, their high lift started at 10. So that's what I mean about the range. And even though I'm not a licensed professional and I'm not a hair colorist or expert in this field, I have the information that everybody else has access to. You should really learn the color range. And that leads me to my next point within this color phase. I have a very sensitive scalp that I've spoken about on this channel several times. I have sensitivity issues. I have histamine issues. So the brand I use and where I go depends on where I am in the world at that time and what's available to me. Whenever I'm in Greece, like I've been filming in Crete Island for the last 2 seasons, what's available to me there is Redken Chromatics. Beautiful line, ammonia free. L'Oreal ammonia free is available to me at the salon where I go to as well. Here in Toronto, those products are not available to me. So I use the Effionage, which is a low ammonia. Schwarzkopf Igora is available to me, but that's very high in ammonia. And unfortunately, even though I do like the colors, it does really bother my scalp. So that's why it's also important. Speak to your stylist about the product line they use, the product lines throughout, not just your color application, guys, throughout the process. Ask them what they use. Learn the color lines, find out what their products are. You're paying for a service. Don't feel shy or embarrassed or uncomfortable. If you feel those things, really simple solution. The answer is you're in the wrong place, so you need to switch locations. Number 5, and this is super interesting to me because there's so much myth around it. It's basically cutting and trimming. So to maintain your hair once you've reached a certain length, I would say just do your dusting. So if you're at your dream length, do your dustings to get rid of the split ends and just those uneven ends. You know, we can really feel them when you're putting your hair in a ponytail or braid. They'll start to poke out. Look, if you're talented, give yourself a dusting. I am not talented artistically at all, so I am not able to color my hair or cut it. But let me tell you, I have friends that can do that, and I think that's awesome. If you can give yourself a dusting and you don't mess up your hair, I would definitely do that. Now I like to do it every, I don't know, 5 months or so when I see the split ends come out. But if you're in the reparative phase, you need to make sure that you're getting rid of all of that dead stuff. Remember, the bottom, it's holes, okay? There's nothing covering it. So the best tip to keep it healthy is make sure you oil it and you seal it in, or else you're gonna have to cut more later on. So I would prefer to see small dustings more frequently, but the idea of like cut your hair more often, like 6-week trims, 8-week trims so it grows faster, that's a myth. What in the world does this have to do with this? Number 6. I brought props for this one. So your night routine is pretty much the same for maintenance and repair stage, but I would say you need to be more diligent, obviously, in the reparative stage because your hair is so fragile during that time. So what do I use? I always use my silk pillowcase, and I just have a couple of them that I can rotate. While one's in the wash, I'll use the other one. And then I love my silk caps. So this is a mulberry silk one. the lighting is weird there. Mulberry silk. I got this from Amazon and it is so beautiful, but it doesn't stay on my head, unfortunately. It's got a little elastic here. I had high hopes. I absolutely love the way it feels, but doesn't stay on. I got this one, I think from Shein, because I wanted a super long one. This one, no hope for it. Doesn't stay on at all. The latest one I picked up here from Amazon is better, okay? So it stays on more, and then it has the double strings here. I'm still looking for the perfect satin cap. Any recommendations below? And number 7, super important to everybody because beauty starts from the inside out. You know what I'm gonna say, it's all about the diet. And I have to say that working on Star Foodies for the last 7 seasons, I really understand why people in the Mediterranean that I've met there have just gorgeous skin. It's diet. It's absolute diet. Now, I'm a big advocate of the Mediterranean diet. Let's refer to that as a nutritional regimen because it's not a diet that has the typical westernized philosophy of calorie maintenance or very calorie deficit. Has nothing to do with that. It actually has fantastic fats in it and antioxidants, and the things I love the most are probably that it's rich in antioxidants because that protects our skin from bad aging and keeps our hair follicles so nice and healthy, and the fats are amazing for plump skin and also shiny hair. The anti-inflammatory properties, they help us prevent our breakouts, and they're amazing for scalp irritation. And then also the Mediterranean diet is incredible for supporting gut health. And as a bonus here, my optometrist and I were having a conversation a few years ago about my dry eyes and about some eye health issues, and he really told me to pump up the omega-3s that can be found in fish, which is very prominent in the Mediterranean diet. I did that, everybody. My eyes are now super lubricated. I barely have to use eye drops. I could not go out without having eye drops in my purse. So I found a big difference there. Really helped me with my eye health. I feel like my scalp is a lot healthier as well. So there you have it. Pretty much my 7 favorite tips. I mean, I could go on for hours. Comments, of course, are always welcome below. And if you haven't subscribed and you want to see specific videos, the best thing to do is just quickly subscribe, and then you'll be notified as to the topic of my upcoming videos. And until the next one, be well, everybody. Be soon and have a beautiful night.